Ladies and gents, welcome back. Am I on time this time? Is this the first time I've ever been on time to my own live stream? Perhaps it is. Hey chat, why don't you come on over, come on in here. Let's hang out a while. What's happening, everybody? Welcome. If you're new here, this is the live stream. I do these every Friday at 9:30 Eastern. That's 6:30 Pacific time. And I love to have you guys. I love to have you in here and join in with the whole community atmosphere that we got going on here. Love it. Let's bring the chat even closer so I can see this with my old man eyes. Love to do this. Yeah, again, for all those people that are new to the channel, this is one of the things that I like to do. Every Monday through Friday, I do videos in the morning and then again in the evening. And then on Fridays, we get together with the whole community, and this is my way of having a conversation. Maybe get into some of the stories that we're talking about and get into more detail, more depth to it. Perhaps talk about what's happening and what I didn't get to because, hey, it's still happening as we're talking. Jelly Duck, member for 19 months. Holy cow, look at that. Welcome in, Clyde. Happy 19 months. Happy 19 months to you as well, my man. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. That's amazing. Looking forward to this one today. No time blindness today. Yeah, no, not today. Not today. I mean, I was sick for a while. There's a thing going around, and holy cow, that one knocked me out for like, I swear, a whole week. It knocked me out for good. And then it just felt like a really bad cold for another week and a bit. And here I am. I'm back. I'm back at her. Just doing the usual routine now. And just in time for the holidays, because the holidays are coming up. They're in a few weeks. It always seems to just creep up so fast when you're not expecting it. You're like, well, I got shopping to do. I got things I got to get done. And I got to get it done in a hurry because I have a lot of people relying on me, i.e. my family. So we're going to be doing lots of family stuff. I'm looking forward to it. I've got the week off for the holidays. I'll probably be doing videos regardless because I get restless and I want to get in front of that camera and I want to vent. This is really my way of venting to the... so I don't go insane. So I don't go nuts. I get to vent all this out. You guys are probably the best stress reliever a guy could ever have. Appreciate it. Thank you all for being there every day. And that's it. My birthday comes up first, says Alice. Well, happy birthday, Alice. Good news. You are feeling better, Clyde. Thank you, Gina. I appreciate that. It is good news. And my voice is back. Oh, goodness. It's back, baby. I love that. That's my favorite part about the whole thing because this is what I do every day. I use my voice and I talk to you guys. Sign the petition for no confidence vote. We're going to be getting into that. You better get over there and sign that petition. I have my signature in. You can only do it once. And they're pretty strict about that. They do have a list and they check it twice. That's a thing. It's not that hard with modern technologies to figure that stuff out. Yes. Hi, Clyde in the chat. What's happening, Ragman? Yes. Let's get into this. Yeah, E4701. That might be the end of PM Trudeau. We don't know. And we're going to get into that tonight, talking about it, because there's other things other than a petition that might be spelling the end of Trudeau as we know it anyway, or for him to come out in his next iteration, where I go Super Saiyan and just straight up become a dictator. I don't know what it's the move is his, especially with what's going on with this whole Chinese interference thing. Wow, I've investigated myself and I found no wrongdoing. Hey, everybody out there, if you haven't yet, I know. There's so many users of Facebook out there. They say, Clyde, why don't you have a Facebook page? I don't know. I don't use Facebook. I haven't used Facebook in years, but I broke down and I said, you know what? Since CBC's not allowed on Facebook, CTV's not allowed on Facebook, Global's not allowed on Facebook, heck, even True North is not allowed on Facebook, all of these news outlets are not allowed on Facebook. Why don't I put my hat in the ring and put myself on Facebook? I might as well. I know Facebook, a lot of people don't like Facebook, but hey, I'm gonna put my presence out there on Facebook. So hey, the Facebook page is out there. Go check it out. Go check it out. It's up. The link is in the description down below. Make sure that it's in the description for every video, but there's going to be updates on Facebook, so you can share it with your nan or anybody who's still on Facebook, or whatever. All the people that are still on Facebook and use it all the time. Get on there. Get on out there and sign up for the Facebook page. I'm going to be adding stuff to it. And who knows, if it gets popular and stuff, I might do some exclusive content for that page, because I want to reach more people, and that's the whole point here. Get more people on board, get more people part of the community, and hey, we're gonna get the message out there much further, because that's the thing. Never hit Facebook. What? Yeah, some people don't use Facebook. A lot of people don't use Facebook. There's a whole new generation of people that never do that. You are sounding much better, Clyde. Thank you, Trello. I am feeling much better. That's absolutely right. Did you learn Japanese over there or here in Canada with your wife? My wife is Korean. I've been to Korea 6 times, but my Korean's not even close to your level of Japanese. Yeah, no, let's talk mechanics. We can talk mechanics. That's not, I don't think a lot of people subscribe here. Yeah, so I learned a bit of Japanese, like just phrases and stuff before I went over there, but I lived there for 3 years. And the thing I did was, I think was a smart move, for learning the language. Right away, I got a job in a place that nobody spoke English. Oh man, was that a pain? Was that a pain? But it really forces you to learn the language quickly, because you gotta. If you don't, you're not. Yeah, that's right. You're not going to be communicating with anybody, and that's really what it comes down to. So, as for like reading and writing and stuff, that's difficult, because I didn't do a lot of. I ended up not doing a ton of studying. I did slack on that department, and my Japanese is very conversational. So sometimes I say things that, because I sound like I'm talking among friends a lot of times. I have to be very careful when I talk in very formal situations. Sometimes I end up sounding too casual in those formal situations, and that can be embarrassing. It's just a thing. Following you on Facebook, Clyde. Thank you, Trish Peru. Appreciate that. Get over there. Everybody get over there and get into that. Wow, we got 793 people watching the show tonight and only 296 likes. What are we doing, folks? Hey, get over there. Smash that like button down below. Get that number up, because it definitely helps in the algorithms. And the algorithm picks that up and says, hey, you know what? I know a bunch of people that like stuff just like this guy does. Why don't I recommend that out? We're going to get more people in the community by doing that one little thing that's free to do. Smash that like button. Clyde speaks surfer dude Japanese. Yeah, not that bad. Not that. You know what's funny though? There are people that learn Japanese from anime. And I don't know if everybody knows what a weeaboo is. A weeb. these people are really into Japan. But yeah, watching a lot of anime. But like the weeaboos, they'll end up watching a lot of the girly anime, like with girls talking, like harem animes and stuff like that. And then they end up learning Japanese. And there is very clearly a way to speak Japanese as a woman, and clearly ways to speak Japanese as a man. So it's really funny when you hear somebody that learned their Japanese from anime, because especially from the girly anime. And yeah, it's funny. I've seen it, and they sound like. They sound like trannies. Weebs are funny as AF. Yeah, absolutely. Clyde is a snowboarder. Much respect, dude. Yep, snowboarder. Haven't been in a long time, but I live so close to the mountain. It's just gotten so expensive, and that's the thing. How about a beer fridge of shame for Trudeau? Yeah, well, I don't know. He probably drinks wine coolers. Used to be free. So kawaii. Yeah, exactly. Hit that like button, boys. Absolutely. Get in there. Smash it. Get over there. Bonsai. Yeah. Celebrate. Bonsai. We're gonna do that. I learned from the movie Akira. Okay. Old Godzilla movies. I can't wait for the new Godzilla. I'm actually really looking forward to that. That's going to be a good one. Good old samurai movies are fantastic. Absolutely. Why you won't acknowledge me? What are you talking about? I see you there. You're there. I just did. Or immortalized in this chat. There we go. There we go. Have you ever tried looking right into the camera? I can do that. That happens. But then I'm paying attention to this. I'm paying attention to this. I'm looking over here at that stuff. But I can look you right in the camera. It's a thing that I can do. It's no problem. We can try to do that. But it gets distracting after a while. It's one of those weird things where it kind of breaks the fourth wall. It can get uncomfortable after a little while. It really can. So we're gonna try to do this in more of a casual way. So we're just gonna get on it because it can get awkward staring right into that lens too much. That's the thing. Anyway, yeah, it's weird, right? Yeah, it's goofy. It's a thing. Oh, don't change for anybody. I'm not changing for nobody. No way. No way. Just like Clyde be Clyde. Absolutely. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, we can. You ever been to the Cat Cafe in Japan? Pretty effed up. I went to the Cat Cafe. My daughter and wife loved it. It was a thing. But last time I was there, I walked by it. It was shut. The one in Harajuku, anyway. But what are we doing? Let's talk about news. Let's talk about some of this news stuff that's going on. We got a good show tonight. I'm going to be going over some of the stuff that's happening immediately right now. What's going on in Canada here. Enough about Japan. We'll do Japan shows, no problem. It'll be a thing. Next time I go to Japan, we'll talk all about Japan, all live stream. We could do that. But yeah, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, that was good. I've only watched about half of it yet. It's like an hour and a half long. It's difficult for me to get the time to watch really long things like that. So I'm looking forward to watching the rest of it. Clyde for president. You gotta spell my name right first to put those signs up. I own a 2010 Chevy Cobalt with 25,000 kilometers. Original brake pads? No, doubt it. As a mechanic, have you ever seen this? Nope. That's not nice. No. Unless that person is like a pro, never rides, never over accelerates, just enough gas to get to the thing, minimal braking. I doubt it. I doubt that that's the original pads. Do you have a Christmas video from Pierre from 5 years ago? I think I saw that in my timeline. I don't have it queued up. I don't have it queued up tonight, but let's get into some of this stuff. Tonight, great show. I've got Logan White on later. We're going to be talking about what it's like to sue the Canadian government as a veteran, someone who's been kicked out of the army for not doing the vaccine. We're going to be talking about that later on in the show. I'm looking forward to that. What a great guy. What a great guy. Glad to have him on the show this evening. But in the meantime, and this is something I want to bring up with him, actually. What is this we're looking at here? This is from True North. Canadian military bases mandate menstruation kits in men's bathroom. Why are we so crazy in the West? Why are we losing our nuggets? What are we doing? What is it that we're doing? Why is it that we're allowing these woke idiots to dictate what China's gonna eat our lunch? You know, when our military is a bunch of poofs. Like, come on, get out of town. This is really ridiculous. Rhonda Davey with the $4 super sticker. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. But yeah, what is this? They're gonna eat. Russia and China are laughing. They're like, we're gonna eat their lunch. Not to mention the fact that they gave away all their weapons to someone who's someone in Europe that's losing their conflict. I'm not gonna say names, but bunch of our money that we could have given to our vets here at home, while Trudeau says that we don't have. They just ask too much, right? They're just asking too much. Isn't that what they say? That the veterans, they're just asking too much. Hey, they're just way too much. It gets me upset. I just have a hard time. I have a hard time even saying those words. But here we are. We've got Michelle Ferrari. I keep calling her Ferrari. My bad. But a sleek car is a sleek car. It's, the right one for the job. You know what I'm saying? This is a brilliant woman, and she's doing fantastic work. Here she is talking about her petition that's going on in the House of Parliament.
Okay, lots of questions about the online petition that was created by Melissa Outwater from Peterborough, Ontario, asking for a non-confidence vote, saying that the Prime Minister does not have the best interests of Canadians at heart. He's not making best decisions. He's increasing homelessness. He's increasing food bank usage. He's increasing poverty, crime, chaos, all of the things we know. So what does this all mean? A lot of the trolls are very angry because this is the fastest growing online petition in parliamentary history. So we're over 200,000. We have until December 24th. That is the end date.
Well, we're going to pause this for Christine Noseworthy with a $13.99 super chat. I have been trying to get a membership. I don't know how. What's going on? How do you get a membership on YouTube? Well, let's see how we can make this happen. So what you do is you go over to YouTube, and then you go to the where's today's watch page? Let's just show it how it is right now. Go to the quiet that up, and I'll show you right on the screen how that's done. Christine Noseworthy, thank you so much for saying that and jumping in. Here we go. So this is the watch page. Wow, we're in Inception mode right now. Me at a little bit of a different timing, and here we go. Scroll down, you'll see the chat here, and then just below, if your chat's off to the side, that's just because you're in a different Zoom, but down below you'll see the channel name. It'll say join. That's how you join as a member. I know YouTube didn't just call it member or membership. They had to make a join button, and you have to know that that means to join as a member. But that's how it's done. That's how you do it. It's right there. And yeah, have at her. It's great. And thank you so much for getting in there and doing that. Absolutely. Let's get rid of this Inception moment and get back to the video.
Everybody asks me a couple questions. How many signatures does it need? If we hit 300,000, that will be the highest ever online petition. The numbers are symbolic in many ways, but they're very valuable because they elevate your voice. They send a very big message that you are unhappy. And that is very important when we work here at Parliament. The second thing is the trolls. They're very angry. They don't like this. They like to protect their sweet, precious Justin Trudeau. So they're saying all these things online, like everybody from every other country can sign this petition. These are fake numbers. That is not true. And all they have to do is a little bit of research. Go look at online petitions. Anybody can start a petition. You just need an MP to sponsor it. You have to be a Canadian resident or a Canadian citizen. So maybe you do live in a different country.
And this isn't like a Rebel News petition or any of those online petitions that you see. This is an official one. Excuse me. This is an official one through the House of Parliament. It's no joke, this one.
Country, but you can sign it. That doesn't mean it's open to anyone. Okay. The other thing is
Mally Chu, thank you for joining as a member. Really, am I pronouncing that? Malaklo. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Thank you so much. Anyway, Demogorgon Ramsey with a $10 super chat. Veterans ask so much they receive thing they don't even ask for that. Hey, at least those tampons are useful for men to stop the nosebleed and those pesky non-existent vaginal bleeds. Oof. Yeah, the non-existent ones. Yikes. Yikes. If you send me something and the grammar's wrong, I'm gonna read it just as it is. Oh, that dyslexia really nails me when there's typos. But thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Really appreciate that. That's hilarious. Let's get back to the video.
Can only sign it once. So these are not false numbers. So just keep going. Don't give up. Pass the petition around. It sends a huge message. It's very important. People say, well, what happens next? Well, then when we come back to Parliament, I will table the petition. The government has a set amount of time to respond to that. If they don't respond, then I can do a call to action, push it to committee, but it's elevating your voice. That is what we are elected to do here as members of parliament. People will say, well, why doesn't Michelle just move her own motion to do that? She can do that. Because it's not about me. It's about you. It's about the people. And you did this work. You're doing the work, and I'm here to elevate the voice of your work. So don't stop. Keep going.
Make it happen. That's exactly, and that's what exactly what I'm doing. I'm elevating people's voices that want to get this out there. We're already at 218,856 signatures on this petition. And this is the petition to have a vote of no confidence. And if there's a vote of no confidence and it succeeds, we ask for an election within 45 days after the vote. Now, do you think it's going to pass? Do you think they're going to, like, they might bring it to the floor and then they'll shoot it down? But at least that sends a message. Like, look, you have a coalition that's not a coalition that's just basically usurping government. I mean, talk about someone, you know, Trudeau complains about the Freedom Convoy saying that they were trying to take over the government. What are you talking about? You're trying to take over the government. You were given a minority government and you've taken a majority. You've taken something in an undemocratic way, and you're not even doing it with the rules of coalition. There is a form of coalition that they can do, but there's a bunch of rules to it. There's a bunch of rules to coalitions, but they don't want to do that. It's a supply and confidence agreement. No, it's a coalition. Call it what it is. It's them subverting democracy, which is exactly what, I mean, in the last election, disaffected liberals voted for the NDP. That's how they got so many votes. That's how they became enough seats in order to get enough to make a majority with the two of them together. If it weren't for that, perhaps those people would have voted conservative. Now, a lot of people didn't want to vote conservative, but now they're looking to swing that way. Absolutely. Rob Hellfire, member for 11 months. Wow, it's been some time. Says, "Rip Shane McGowan." Shane McGowan. What happened to him? I don't know about what happened. I'm gonna have to look that one up after. Got too much to get to at this point. Sorry. We're gonna get to this. I don't know what happened there. But 11 months, that's unbelievable. 2 Indigenous of the NDP abstained from voting all day. Wow, that's crazy. Let's get into what's been happening in Parliament, because this is really something else. But before we do that, let's have this little clip. This is something that Marty up north posted. In the past, the annual press gallery dinner was an opportunity for the Prime Minister to poke some fun at journalists that made his life difficult throughout the year by holding him accountable. In recent years, the press dinner has been an opportunity for Trudeau to remind everyone that he's in charge. He controls their salaries, he controls the agenda, and there's nothing they can do about it. He's quite literally bragging in this video. So let's listen to what he had to say.
When the Conservative Party looked at the Ottawa occupation, they thought, this is an expression of righteous anger, and we must support them. But Liberals, we looked at a group of people with a written agreement to overthrow the government, and we said, great idea, get Jagmeet on the phone.
He's joking because Jagmeet was part of a group that would, the Khalistanis that want to overthrow the government and form their own? Yeah, right.
Myself spent a lot of time this year surrounded by honking and wailing. I don't know what their deal was, but the geese and loons at Harrington just wouldn't shut up. But I have to admit, I have learned a lot since 2015. Now, instead of having to apologize and take responsibility for whatever it is whenever something goes wrong, I adopted new approaches. Because yes, the summer had its ups and downs, and
he talks like a child.
Not just the bungee jump. We all remember my scandal at the Finnish embassy. Oh, actually, no, you don't remember that, because I got my hair cut that weekend. Of course,
he's basically flaunting the fact that the media will do anything that he wants them to do.
Supply chain snarls and global inflation are hitting people hard.
And he doesn't care.
So we apologize if the meat was tough tonight or if you chip a tooth on a bread roll. But I swear we will eventually have a dental plan for you at some point. Last summer, Pierre...
And I know dentists right now are like, no, don't ruin our industry too. Christine Noseworthy, you figured it out. Awesome. Thank you so much. Welcome to the membership. I really appreciate that. Really, really thank you very much.
Told his pal Jordan Peterson that he's a, quote, believer in using simple Anglo-Saxon words. I know. I didn't get it either, but I'm told it sounds much better in the original German.
Listen to the jeers of the crowd. So he's making it sound like he was doing some like funny mustache man cheer when he was saying that. He was talking about Anglo-Saxon terms. He actually baited the media by saying that word because he knew that they'd be like, but those were white people, you know, they were commoners. That's what he was saying. They were commoners. They used the common language, and that's what he was talking about. But yeah, this is Trudeau making fun of us and the media all at the same time. This was not really something. Why not have Marty up north live on Fridays? Wobbly Pop Marty, please. Actually, I was talking about it with him. I'm gonna have him on. I'm gonna have him on one Friday night, and we'll do a Wobbly Pop Friday with Marty. That's for sure. We'll make that happen. Absolutely. But let's get into what's happening right now. Oh yeah, this is just more cringe. I don't know if I want to watch it. This is just how bad Trudeau's been mucking up our country. Enough of that. What's happening? Pierre Poilievre, he put out this recent video. It's a 15-minute documentary, and it's about basically. Thank you, Clyde. Yeah, okay. What for sparing you that one? So he put out this documentary. Pierre Poilievre did, and this is about the housing bubble that we're in and how crazy it's gotten. How much Canadians are having to pay for taxes and housing, and we don't even have enough for anything else to go around. It is really, really well done. It is really well done, and most people need to see it. I could put links out there. Oops. I could put a link out there for the Twitter in the chat. We'll just pop that out there so people can check it out on Twitter. It's also on the official Pierre Poilievre YouTube channel. Go check it out. It's 15 minutes long. It doesn't take that long to watch, and that's the beauty of it. You can go share it out with all your friends, your family over the holidays. This is a great one. It won't take long to just pop on, get everybody to watch it, and then move on, talk about all your other stuff, because it really drives it home. But right recently they had they had two motions, actually. They had two motions. One motion went through the House of Parliament to axe the tax on home heating because of the carve-outs. You know, carve-outs in the maritime provinces really set the stage for everybody else getting a deal in Canada. Well, they said, no. If you don't vote Liberal and it doesn't look like your ridings might flip, you're not going to get any savings. This is really all about saving the Liberal Party. Well, it did the opposite. It actually did the opposite effect. It was really about just trying to save their tail, but it really put the final nail in the coffin. This is really what's happening with the Liberal Party now. Now the Conservatives put forward a motion that they squashed. The NDP was even behind them on this one, and they put this forward. And what did they do? The Liberals got the Bloc Québécois, the people who are exempt from the carbon tax anyway, and got them to vote for the rest of Canada to still have the carbon tax on their home heating. This is ridiculous. In Canada, we don't tax food. We don't tax necessities. This has been something that's been a tradition in our country since its inception. You don't put taxes on necessities in a Arctic land where more than 10 months of the year, it is too cold to live. You know, this is really where we're at, where the Liberal government has gone so far emboldened that they're just going to tax everything. And not only that, with the Bloc Québécois coming in, it's taxation without representation at this point. When the Bloc Québécois, when Quebec is is exempt from this tax because they got a different deal with California. Well, go get your food from California while you're at it, French. But nonetheless, they put together this motion, they put it forward, and they said, let's get this done. They squashed it. They put together another motion to get the tax off of the farmers. We don't tax fuel on the farmers. We don't there's fuel taxes to pay for the roads. But we've always exempted farmers from that because it's just ridiculous and it would make food really expensive. It's an inflationary tax. They've always understood that. So they put forward a motion. It passed narrowly. In Parliament, despite the Bloc Québécois trying to squash it. But it went into the Senate. And it was quickly squashed there because of Trudeau's lobbying and threats to the senators in the Senate. This is the way the government works now, via dictates of the prime minister. The PMO thinks that he gets to run the country and he gets to break laws, like actually break laws that are about to come into place that were passed through democratically and trample over the mechanisms of democracy. This is Trudeau. So Pierre Poilievre brought this one in. Conservatives are launching an around-the-clock voting to block Trudeau's vacation and force him to axe the tax for farmers, First Nations, and families for good. Sign here to join us at the conservative thing. Now, this has even made it onto mainstream news. They're not going to ignore this one. They can't ignore this one. Trudeau can end it all. Conservatives' carbon tax filibuster stretches into the second night. They're going full on. They're keeping them in there. Now, with no signs of either side is ready to retreat, the marathon voting session in the House of Commons has stretched into the second day after MPs stayed up all night rejecting Conservatives' attempts to defeat government spending plans over the Liberals' refusal to scrap the carbon tax. Now, Liberals, they can't help it. They just need to spend that money. We don't have. They really, really need to spend that money that we don't have. And so they're not gonna take any of these new amendments. They put thousands, 20,000, I think it was, new amendments in, and they're gonna debate every single one of them. This is really crazy. Robert McFallon with a $5 super chat. I'm feeling your rage, Clyde, and I could not agree more. I'm seething. Absolutely. But this is something that, it gets people motivated to watch something like this.
Yet late yesterday, there were those Liberal senators who had received personal calls from Justin Trudeau, intimidating calls from a prime minister who claimed that he would respect the independence of the Senate, has now stepped in to make sure not only that Canadians continue to pay the tax, but that it goes higher and higher still. Well, I've got news for Justin Trudeau. You've ruined Christmas for Canadians. Common sense Conservatives are going to ruin your vacation as well. We are going to put in thousands of amendments at committee and in the House of Commons, forcing all-night, round-the-clock voting to block your $20 billion of inflationary spending and the rest of your economically destructive plans until you agree to our demand to take the tax off farmers, First Nations, and families. You will have no rest until the tax is gone.
Now, this is a brilliant move, I think, politically, because Pierre Poilievre has got the will of the people behind him on this one. People are stretched. They're absolutely stretched in Canada. And Justin Trudeau is fat-headedly, he's hanging on to this carbon tax. He just won't let it go. He will not let the carbon tax go. He wants you all to pay this carbon tax no matter what it takes. And so Pierre is putting it on the spending bill. He's putting it right on the spending bill, and he's pulling them in through Christmas. And it's showing that Trudeau will cut his Christmas holidays. We all know how much Justin Trudeau loves his holidays. We all know how much he loves his holidays. But you know what he loves more than his holidays? Taxing you. taxing you to certain death. That's what Justin Trudeau is more into than holidays. He's more interested in going to some other third world country to enjoy the nice weather and the slavery that he enjoys when he goes over there. But this has made this an election issue. And Pierre sums this up really well here.
Mr. Trudeau, you're going to have to come to terms with something. Over the Christmas period, whether through a walk in the snow or while you're sitting next to a warm fire.
Okay, I gotta stop it there. You all heard what he said there, right? Whether it's going for a walk in the snow or sitting next to a warm fire or whatever, sipping Mai Tais with some Caribbean slave boys, or whatever that guy likes to do. But that long walk in the snow, that was a reference to his dear old daddy, dear old stepdad, or whatever he was to him, actually. But this was the reference to that. Apparently, just Pierre Elliott Trudeau took a long walk in the snow and realized that he should step down. He should step down from his post as Prime Minister of Canada, and then he subsequently did just that. Do you think Justin Trudeau is ever going to do that? I don't think so. Not with the hubris of this guy. So it's going to take the rest of Canada to get him out of his seat, but he gets into it here.
Think about this reality. There will be a carbon tax election. I will win the carbon tax election, and whether you like it or not, I will axe the tax.
That's a bold statement right there. So he says straight up, there will be an election, whether sooner or later, right? Sooner or later, and this is going to be on the ballot. This is going to be the ticket. The ticket for the election is going to be Trudeau overspent, and now he's overtaxing poor people in this country, and they just can't have it. You can't have it. No, it doesn't matter how lefty you are. You want to tell everybody what your pronouns are, but guess what? If you want to eat, you're gonna want to get rid of that carbon tax. If you want to, you want to, have your hair whatever color. Who cares? I mean, be you. I mean, I can't stand people forcing everything on each other. That's the difference between someone who's wacky and someone who's woke. Be quirky. Just allow me to be not quirky over here and leave me the hell alone. That's the difference between woke and just quirky. That's my opinion there. But this is the thing. There's going to be so many lefties and leftoids. Like, I'm talking way leftoids that are going to vote with their money. They're going to vote with their wallet, because at the end of the day, Trudeau's making people poor. It's when we got $20 bacon. That's when we're going to have a conservative MP. When we got mortgages foreclosing, even the staunchest lefties, even staunchest liberals in their quirky little neighborhoods in Ottawa that are facing foreclosure, they're going to be sitting there going, glad this ballot's anonymous. Sure glad that's the case, because, they'll still at least be able to go tell their friends they're woke when they get back from voting for Pierre Poilievre. This is what's going to happen in the next election. This man is going to win the next election. That's absolutely the case. And yeah, Tempest, that $20 bacon is not far away. That's why I make my own bacon. I actually just made some recently, and I got to tell you, best batch I ever made. Mwah! I made so much of it, it's enough to last me the whole winter. Because that's how you got to do it. If you want to save, if you want to earn a buck, save a buck. Get into making your own bacon. We can talk bacon recipes one night. I have to do that some live stream. Holy cow! Talking about live streams, 1,600 people in the live stream tonight. Crazy. Get on that like button. Let's see at least the likes hit over 1,000. at this point. I know you guys can do it. Like, get on, make it happen. You guys have been doing a great job at that. Anyway, let's get into this. So Pierre Poilievre is making this an election issue.
And the choice will be very clear. It will be between a costly coalition of the NDP and Liberals that take your money, tax your food, punish your work, double your housing cost, and unleash crime and chaos in your community, or a common-sense conservative government that frees you to earn a powerful paycheck and pension that buys affordable food, gas, and homes in safe neighborhoods. That will be the choice. And we will remind people every day in every way that we are the only common sense party with a plan to bring home the Canada that we know and love. We will bring home lower prices by axing the tax and ending the inflationary deficits to bring down inflation and interest rates. We will bring home powerful paychecks with lower income.
Okay, so you're going to get into his platform again. This is his shtick. This is what he talks about. Look at that. You guys doing such a bang-up job. Over 1,000 likes already. Let's get it to 1,500. We have 1,600 of you in there. Can you get to 1,500? Let's do this. Robert McFallon with the $5 super chat. Do you still believe there will be a next election? Well, there's a possibility that, we see dictator in chief there try to pull a fast one and say that some emergency is taking place. And that's why we're going to have to postpone the election until a further date. We're just going to have to wait until a further time down the road. How do you pronounce that? Ravus, is that Rav USA Eads? I don't know. Ravusades with a $1 super chat. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Next election. Let's hope that doesn't get thwarted by the dictator in chief, because that would be awful. But there is a chance, and there is a real chance. I think a lot of the politicians think that there's an election coming up very soon. And we're going to get into that real soon. We're going to talk about that. Pierre Poilievre says conservatives will table thousands of amendments to keep Parliament sitting over Christmas. This is awesome. Actually, this is a guy taking one for the team. Actually, the whole team taking one for Canada. Really, the conservatives. People won't forget this. That the conservatives are not going home. They're not going home so that they can filibuster the liberals and force them not to go home and put some pain on them. Like that takes guts. That takes guts to pull this off. Tell your family, sorry, I'm not going back. I got to do this thing. I'm going to miss Christmas. Okay? That really takes some. Pierre Poilievre tweeting out, this was actually really recent. NDP and Liberal MPs are crying crocodile tears because the carbon tax filibuster cost them one night's sleep. Now they know what it's like for the many who suffer sleepless nights because they can't afford food and rent after 8 years of Trudeau. Rav, you put it out there so I can pronounce it. What is this? Ravasades with the $5 super chat tried to say bacon makes everything better. Bacon does make it bacon. Bacon makes everything great. It makes it all taste so much better. I'm sorry if your religious convictions brought you to not ever know that joy, but there's always time to convert, I guess. Bacon's amazing. Penny D with a $5 super chat. Hey, my Chromebook is not working properly tonight. Hope to see Marty too. Thanks, Clyde. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna get Marty to come in for a live stream. See what he says. I know we were talking about it before, but we normally do Wednesday nights, and then it ends up as a Thursday video. But I don't see a problem with having him. Absolutely. I love chatting with Marty. If I could do it twice in a week, that just makes my week better. Sleepover with Clyde. He does great bacon. Yeah. Michael Kovacs with a $5 super chat. Mitchell's Farm Cut 1K bacon at Save On Foods, $22. There you go, $22 bacon. That $20 bacon that I was talking about, we're already there. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Now, the way I do bacon is I get the pork belly. I like it. I like to buy it with the skin off. If it doesn't have the skin off, I got to fillet it off. But I have a cold smoker. And what I do is a lot of people smoke it after. What I do is I smoke it first in the cold smoker, and I do it with hickory and mesquite wood chips. And this last round, I did 3 full pork bellies, big pork bellies, and then I cut it up into sizes that fit into these stackable containers that I put in the fridge, and then I make my own pack for it. It's kosher salt. It's funny, kosher on bacon, but whatever. Tony Ludi with a $2 super sticker. Thank you so much, Tony Ludi. Really appreciate that. And then mix the kosher salt with I use sugar that we get from Costco. It's like a cane sugar, good stuff. Mix that with paprika, lots of that. I mix it with garlic powder and onion powder. Sometimes the wife makes it from scratch, the powders, but sometimes we got to buy it. But then I pack that in that, and I put it in containers for a week in the fridge. When it comes out, wash it off, dry it in the oven until it reaches 70 degrees internal, real slow, and then pull it out. Let it sit on the counter, then in the fridge, and then the next day it's time to slice it, pack it, freeze it, done. That's how we do it. Chippy's Outdoors with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. IRE, smoke dry cured bacon, usually a couple hours on the pellet grill at low temperatures, 180 Fahrenheit in my case, and a smoke box. Yeah, see, I do the cold smoker first, and then I don't have a temperature. I want to build a temperature regulatable grill, because I'd like to put that in there for that. But it's the same as putting in an oven. But thank you so much for the super chat. Tony Ludi, welcome to Clyde Do Something membership. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Demogorgon Ramsey with the $10 super chat. The overpriced meat at this point is voluntary. You don't have any idea how much article I've seen about the people eating less meat, pretending it saves the environment in this crappy French province. Yeah, it's over here in this hippy dippy province of British Columbia as well. Many people opting out of eating meat, and not a lot of bug eaters that I've heard of, but like lots of people that just opt for malnutrition, aka veganism. I just call it malnutrition. I don't know. I just call me old fashioned. But I call things what they are. Anyway, let's get on with this. So this is Jagmeet Singh. He's talking about his economic steps towards recovery. This is how clueless these people are. It's absolutely insane that I'm even talking about this. This is a grown adult male, human being, that he puts his big boy pants on every day of the week. He gets up, he goes to the parliament where he was voted in as an MP, and then he goes in there to tell people that the way to make houses cheaper is just to ask people that build houses to build cheap houses. Not kidding.
About 411 homes, only 13% of them are affordable, and this is on public land. So they're using public land to build homes, which is a great idea, but only 13% are affordable.
So then what do you want them to do differently?
We want 100% of the homes to be affordable. If you're going to build land or build home on public land, every single one of them should be affordable.
How can they do that and do it quickly? Because we are not heading for a crisis, we're in a crisis.
100%. But I've spoken to a lot of people who told me, if you build a whole bunch more luxury homes or luxury condos, that's not going to help me out right now because I can't afford those luxury condos. So if we're going to use our public land, we should use every square foot of public land to be public land that's used for affordable homes. And that affordability has to be a big factor. The people I spoke to tell me we need it to be affordable, something that we can actually manage to afford to buy or to rent.
So then what?
Just make it affordable. Why didn't I think of that? Holy cow. Jeez, everybody's just been doing it wrong all this time and just haven't made it affordable. Oh, man. Yeah, when he's buying a watch, he's like, I don't know, I could get my Rolex luxury watch, or I could just get one that's affordable. Why don't we just do that with houses? Why is everybody gonna make them all expensive? You know, why? What are you doing? Holy cow. Oh, man, Juggy, you had the formula all this time. And why is he just letting us in on this now? Holy cow. Ravus80s with the $5 super chat. Why did my $500,000 home just fall apart? Oh no. Holy cow. You can't make this stuff up. Like, it's crazy. Like, this guy, he's in a position to run things in this country. And this country is insane. Abnormal too with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Say something in the chat. We get it up there. But holy cow. You just, oh wow. Why don't you just make them affordable houses? He really actually thinks this. It is just mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing that this is the intellect that comes out of this country. But nonetheless, we're talking about taking tax off farmers, First Nations, and families. It's just common sense. Why can't we think of that? Trudeau can end it all. Conservative carbon tax filibuster stretches into second night with no signs of either side is ready to retreat. Marathon voting session in the House of Commons has stretched into a second day after MPs stayed up all night rejecting Conservatives' attempts to defeat defeat government spending plans over the Liberals' refusal to scrap the carbon tax. They just won't scrap it. And here's Pierre coming in with fast food at 1 a.m.
What's going on, man?
I get the same applause when I come in any place at 1 a.m. with food. But most of the time, when I come in somewhere at 1 a.m. with food, everyone in the audience is hammered. But nonetheless.
In all seriousness, thank you for your understanding. I appreciate it, and I want to thank this gentleman for whatever he's about to say.
There's other party here, so if you guys can please...
They're having a party? They're having a party too?
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Live streaming is not allowed, please.
No more screaming. Okay, no more screaming. But I want to thank you all for your understanding. We had committed to go to the 2 synagogues that had been targeted by terrorism to light the menorah.
And well, sorry we couldn't make it because we have a job to do. And I'm glad that they have a job to do. And they're doing it. This is one of those things where finally they're sticking up for the average Canadian. And I'll applaud this motion, this move that they have done here. Now, after 8 years of Justin Trudeau, after 8 years, Justin Trudeau is not worth the cost. This is the highest level of food bank use in Canada on record. It is just ridiculous where we're going in Canada with this. Now, the Liberals, they just want to pretend like nothing's happening. This is literally where they're at with this. This is ridiculous. This is Gould. I can't remember how to pronounce her name on the news here.
What do you say to people who, whether they agree with the analysis done in the article you referenced right off the top, that they think these carve-outs would leave them better off? What do you say to them?
That he's selling you a false promise and he's selling you falsehoods because it's just not true. If we look at what's driving up the cost of everything right now, there are three main things.
Okay, what are the 3 main things? But first, Tanny Annie with the $6.99 super chat. Want to enter my vote for Marty in live chat. Really enjoy you, Clyde, but the two of you are really awesome together. That's awesome. Thank you so much. You know, I'm gonna tell Marty every one of these super chats that say Marty in it. I'm gonna bring them right to Marty and say, look, bang, there it is. You're coming on a Friday night show. You gotta make this happen. It's gonna be a thing. Anyway, let's get into these three bits.
One, coming out of the COVID pandemic, the world is in a challenging place. That's happening all over the world.
Okay, so there are places in the world that aren't having such a challenge after the COVID-19 pandemic. Can you guess where? Can you guess where? Anywhere that didn't do what the governments did. Anywhere that didn't do what these governments did. That didn't kick military servicemen out of the military. That didn't kick nurses out of their jobs. That didn't spend like drunken sailors on frivolous things and tell everybody to stay home and not go to work. Yeah, those places are doing just hunky-dory. To be honest, they're doing just fine. Carla S., member for 3 months. Thank you so much. Michelle Garner said it on Facebook. A letter was sent to NDP supporters about a spring election. Okay, well, that's a bit of what I was. Okay, let's. That's interesting news. I didn't know about that, but I got more to that coming up. Let's get into this though.
2 is the illegal war of aggression by Russia in Ukraine, which is having a significant impact on world food prices and oil prices. And
we're going to look at world prices of food here and what it's like for people perhaps in other places that are in that same conflict in just a moment. But let's hear what number 3 is.
Insistence on denying and blocking the Canada-Ukraine Free Trade Agreement is one that all Canadians should be concerned about.
You mean the one you wanted to introduce a carbon tax to them too? Yeah, they're going to vote against another carbon tax. It's crazy.
Because if he cared about those costs, he would be supporting this and he'd be supporting Ukraine, but he doesn't. And then the third thing is climate change.
Oh, the boogeyman. Here comes the boogeyman.
We have had a summer of droughts and wildfires and floods.
We've had a summer of farmers being told that they can't use the water that they get from aquifers when the rivers are drying up, that they dry up every year. This is ridiculous. The droughts. You're talking about droughts in British Columbia, the ones that happen every single year, and then October 1st it rains and the valleys are just flooded again. And then you go, oh, the floods, climate change. What about the fires, the forest fires? They were arson. A majority of them were completely arson. This has all been proven. Robert McFallon with a $2 super chat. Marty's Twitter feed is fire. It is. I wish I could tweet as much as that guy. I'm too busy making videos all the time. I don't have it in me. But I'll get Marty on here for a Friday night.
How do you think that's impacting farmers and their yields here in Canada?
It is impacting farmers. It absolutely is impacting farmers because the government's stepping in and telling them they can't use the aquifers that they spent thousands and thousands of dollars to develop. Because rivers, you get what I'm saying? This horrible bureaucracy is holding people back.
But also right around the world. And so Mr. Poilievre can make stuff up all he wants.
Like climate change being a big threat? Oh, no, he doesn't do that.
He can try to, say to Canadians that if I get rid of the price on pollution, everything will be better. That is simply false because there are global forces, both man-made and natural, that are having an impact here. And I know Canadians.
Yeah, if it was a global issue, you'd be lobbying China, but they're not. And I just can't listen to that any longer. It's just absolutely crazy to me. But this is where the inflation is being seen here in Canada.
What in the shrinky dink is going on around here? This is getting ridiculous. A week and a half to 2 weeks ago-ish, I bought this from Walmart, 225 grams, okay? Today, I bought this box for the same price. What the actual fuck?
Yeah, what in the shrinky dink is going on here? That's KD Kraft Dinner, a Canadian staple that is suffering shrinkflation. This is a new phenomenon now that's happening in Canada and around the world, in the Western world where we're destroying our civilization. The items, rather than increasing the price, they just keep the same box and put less in it. That's what's been going on. Shrinkflation, as it's been called. It's really harming us all. Tempest with a member for 12 months. Thank you so much. A whole year. Holy cow. To everyone in the chat, thank you for coming out tonight and supporting Clyde. It's great to see you here. Honk, honk. Canada. Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's really cool. That's really cool. But is this what's happening? Yeah. Kraft confirmed in October that it's reduced its size to 200 grams in response to inflationary pressures related to ingredients, labor, and transportation to maintain quality products at an affordable price. Hold on. What are those things? Ingredients, labor, and transportation. What do those things do? Ingredients. Those come from farmers. And when you put a carbon tax on farmers that they have to pay, they have to raise the price of the ingredients. Hey, what about the transportation thing? Are they all like getting there on magic pixie dust trucks? No, diesel gets you there. And when you put a carbon tax on diesel, it costs more money. But you talked about around the world, Miss Gould. Let's see what's happening around the world. This is the Shikaz family. They're from Russia and they're vloggers and they talk about all kinds of things. This is a video of them talking about how the ruble collapsed, but comparing the prices of food and whatnot in Russia to the prices in American dollars, essentially.
Socks pieces for $1 and 2 bananas. And it was a middle quality, and now it's the cheapest.
This is pasta.
15 rubles for that. So 6 pieces we can get for $1.
$1 US, they can get all that pasta.
How many dinners?
Are they suffering
12
around
dinners.
the world? I don't think so. This is a situation that's happening largely
Delicious. Good.
in the
Meal
Western
costs
countries.
29
For oats.
rubles. It's free for breakfast here. So we can get free for $1. And this is premium, the most expensive oatmeal. Almost $1 for this
For a big box.
But
you can't get that in Canada
it's
for that
the
price.
most best quality
No way.
of oatmeal. This oatmeal produced in St. Petersburg city. I know. All Russians know that company.
So this is one of those things. I'm gonna leave a link for the video in the chat here. If you're watching this after the fact, the live chat replay pops up after about 24 hours of being on YouTube. If you tune back in around this time, 24 hours later, you can see the live replay and the chat will be there. The link will be in the live replay chat. You can go get the link to this video. Go check it out for yourself because yeah, it's this is what's happening around the world, and this is actually how things are going when it comes to finances, money. And why is my chat disappearing on me? That's just craziness. But this is where we're at in Canada. This is where we're at with the inflation or shrinkflation, as you want to call it, because, well, our leaders are lunatics when it comes to finances, and they're destroying things by just spending all the money that we don't have. And this is what bids up the prices of everything, because, well, we all know that when you spend money that what didn't exist before, you print new money, you spend it in the economy. The people who spend it first, the people get it and then spend it in the economy immediately, they get the full benefit of the worth of the currency that's out there. But as soon as it gets out there, it dilutes the currency and it affects us all. It dilutes our money. If you have any savings, it's worth less. If you have any whatever your salary is, it's going to be worth less again. And it's just absolutely crazy. Now, one thing I wanted to get into is this concept of perhaps another election coming soon. Now, I'm going to show you this clip. And this clip is from Northern Perspectives video. I'm going to leave this one as well in the chat, so you can go check this one out. The video link is in the chat, but I'm going to show a small segment of this. And let's just play this, because this is where things start to make a lot of sense.
338canada.com. Liberals were sitting at 66 seats. That's less than half.
Yeah, because they're at, I believe, it's 156.
Yes, they are currently.
That's where they're at. So they're losing 90 seats.
It's insane.
Holy moly.
We need to make them lose 66 more, folks.
Yeah, 66 more.
Let's revoke their party status.
Mr. Speaker, that's the exact opposite of what she said yesterday. Because of ministers like this, more Canadians will eat in food banks than ever, and more simply will go without any food at all. And for the new year, everyone is going to spend $700 more on groceries. While these Liberals fight for a few extra days of Christmas vacation, we're going to fight for Canadians, and then we'll send the Prime Minister on the permanent vacation that Canadians desperately want him to take. Why won't they axe the tax for families, for farmers, for First Nations, for good?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources. Did everybody catch that?
And then we'll send the Prime Minister on the permanent vacation that Canadians desperately want him to take.
She said after Christmas, we're going to send this Prime Minister on a permanent vacation.
Foreshadowing, perhaps? Could Fox and Cypher be right, perhaps?
Could we be right?
I hope so.
Could they be right?
They've been talking about...
Just to say, Fox and Cypher from Northern Perspective have been calling that there is going to be an election in the spring. 4 months they've been saying it. They've been on my channel. We've talked about it. I've been on their channel. We've discussed it. I said no way. They're going to hang on to power until 2025. But some of this stuff is pointing towards there possibly being a vote of non-confidence coming up soon. I love Northern Perspective. I love them too. They're great. I'll have them on more and more. They're one of my favorite channels on YouTube. They're doing a bang up job. Absolutely. Go subscribe to them if you haven't yet. But yeah, go check them out because they're fantastic. But and they get right into the nitty gritty, all the little details about this. But I gotta show a little bit more here.
Election behind the scenes since at least March.
That's when we first heard it.
They know something's coming. All of the talking points, all of these little mini events that are going on, everything is converging in February of 2024 for a no confidence vote, or at least the beginning of March. Because in January, the public hearings start for the public inquiry. The first report by Justice Hogue comes at the end of February. The petition is due to be revealed in February. So everything happens in February.
And don't forget, the Liberal NDP confidence and supply agreement ends on December 31st if the Liberals are not able to produce a pharmacare bill to the NDP's liking, which so far they have not. The NDP have already rejected one draft of the bill.
Yeah, but to that point, the Liberals have reneged on all of almost everything that they said they were going to do for that supply and confidence agreement, and they still went along with it regardless. That's a thing. The NDP, they've got no balls. They've got no balls. And this is the thing. Canadians are seeing that. And when it comes down to it, it's gonna be one of those things. I gotta bring Fox and Cypher back on the show so we can talk about this again. Hopefully soon enough. Because this is getting one of those things. Yes, get out there, sign that petition now. Get on it if you haven't signed it already. The petition's here. I'm gonna leave a link in the chat as well. We'll get right to that. I'm gonna get to back here. Again, my chat just keeps messing up. Robert McFallon with a $5 super chat would love you to get the Celtic Canuck on your channel. Absolutely, I should get Celtic Canuck. I've chatted with her so many times, but I still haven't had her on. So that's going to be something to talk about in the future. And speaking of guests on the channel, I love having guests on these live streams because this is a perfect time to have like long form conversations about all kinds of things that are happening throughout Canada, throughout the world, people with particular insights about things that are happening in Canada that we just don't hear a lot about. And one of those things tonight is a lawsuit that's taking place in Canada. There's actually two lawsuits. This is going to be the second lawsuit taking place in Canada where the veterans that were booted out of the military told, no, you can't stick around because You're not going to go along with this mandate for a particular medical intervention that we've thrust upon you. And well, veterans are standing up, and they're getting their punches in with the government now, because they've got 2 tort lawsuits going on. And tonight, I can't wait to introduce my friend here, Logan White, to the chat. Logan, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Oh, hey, Clyde. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm doing great. Holy cow. This has been a really great live stream tonight so far. And it's awesome to have you come on. Now, just a little,
thanks, man.
A little backstory on your situation. So you were in the military and you got kicked out. Now, can you
right.
just I had you on for a video. You explained that before, but just as a refresher for everybody who's new to the story.
So I was in 17 years. I worked on helicopter electronics for that time, on the old Sea King, and again on the Cyclone. And then, COVID came around and they introduced a mandate, and I wasn't having any of it. So, like I explained previously on the show there, they wanted to push us to take these drugs. There was actually a lot of people who didn't want any part of it and took them anyway. I know in my workplace, there were probably, I think there was around 25 people out of, let's say, 60 maybe. So it was probably about half, honestly, who didn't want to take this. And
those are just the people that openly said about it, like they spoke out.
Yeah, they talked about it.
There's probably others that didn't say anything but didn't want to take it either, right?
Yeah, we were a pretty close-knit crew, so like everybody had a pretty good idea of like who wanted to take this and who didn't want to take this.
Right.
I would say it was half the people, and there was probably about a quarter of the people who were really adamant about it. But unfortunately, as adamant as they were, those people, they had families to feed. When push came to shove, they just, they rolled over and they took it. But those of us, like there's a handful of us that, we had different circumstances. Myself, like I didn't have a family to feed, and I figured, I can find new work. So I put my foot down for myself and also for them too, right? To set an example. I think, as I mentioned on the previous show, a big part of it was just, setting a good example and saying, like, yeah, some of us are willing to do the right thing, even at the cost of our employment.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so many people in Canada that also went through similar things, right? Like nurses in British Columbia that still haven't gone back to their jobs. And military members like yourself are basically in the same same circumstance. Now, like the mandate doesn't even exist anymore in the military, does it?
Not really. So it's kind of still in place, but they did remove the COVID shot mandate for like general service. So you can still get into the military, but you won't be considered deployable unless you have taken all the shots, and that includes like recent boosters.
Right. So like you can take a bullet, but unless you take that shot first, you can't go take that bullet for Canada.
I know, right?
It's absurd to me. This is really absurd. That it's gotten so intrusive. Now, from what my understanding, now I got this through your lovely lawyer, who's been doing such an amazing job, and such an amazing job. But she told me that the military was having a hard time actually getting the mandate put in place. To the point that there was a general, from what I take it, there was a general that was in position of power. They said, put the mandate in. He said, no, I'm not doing it. Refused. So they found a sexual scandal to go after him for. And then there was another guy they put in place. Okay, he's out. Get the new guy in. And he said no. And whoa, hey, guess what? He also had some sexual improprieties. So they got another guy, apparently a third guy, same deal too. It wasn't until the fourth guy that got in until this vaccine mandate. So it's not all insanity. It's just really what they've done is they've weeded out of the military free thinkers and people people who would do the right thing, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was their specific intent, but that was definitely the outcome of it. Obviously, I don't have quite as many details as Catherine's got, and I don't I haven't seen it, but it seems like they got rid of these people based on these bogus allegations that have all been dropped. They sort of use that as a weapon, and we've seen that not even just in our military, but you see it all the time in the news. Sexual allegations against such and such a politician or such and such a celebrity, and it's like, is there really a base to that, or are they just using it as a tool? And I think that's probably what was done here.
Well, I think there's a lot of cases where it's the other way around, where somebody actually had some real weird behaviors in their professional life with sexual improprieties, and they'll turn the other cheek, or they'll turn a blind eye to it, as long as they're towing the agenda along. And then we've seen a lot of cases like that with some real prominent ones, especially down in the United States. It's amazing.
Yeah, it seems to depend entirely on like what team you're on.
Yeah, it's really your political ideology, whether or not you'll get away with wrongdoings. And anyone who does something weird, I mean, so I don't know, sexual allegations ones. I mean, if it really doesn't have to do with your job, I don't like that people do that, but like, that's kind of blackmailish if you ask me. That's some really awful stuff there. But if it has to do with the work, I don't know what the particular allegations were in that case. But
I'm not sure.
The thing that pops into my head was the Trump allegations that he hit on some lady, and it's like, so
yeah, so he hit on somebody, big deal. Like
it wasn't in a professional thing. But getting back to military, so we've seen it now where James Topp, he's walked across. I keep saying walk. He marched. I get in trouble for saying walk. So he marched all the way across Canada. He made it to Ottawa, and then he went to the Maritimes just so he could make it all the way across Canada, which is an amazing feat, largely ignored by the media, again, because of his political leanings when it comes to liberty. He didn't even specifically say he was a conservative or liberal or any of that stuff, just because of where his leanings were on bodily autonomy. They largely ignored him, and now the military's been pursuing this with a court-martial. Like, is this a normal thing now for the Canadian military? I'm sure you know a lot of guys that are going through similar stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say how normal it is, because the guys that I know, they're sort of strategically keeping quiet on a lot of stuff. And of course, for the bulk of the military, the guys are going to talk to each other. Most of the military is conservative anyway. The guys are conservative, right? The leadership may be. I shouldn't say the guys are conservative. The guys are, they believe in things like freedom and liberty for people, and that sort of puts you on the conservative side these days, right? 15, 20 years ago, we were all kind of liberal-ish on certain things. That's just kind of the way that it goes. When you believe in free speech or you believe in bodily autonomy, those used to be more on the liberal side of the house. Now they're on the conservative side of the house. But anyway, even though the leadership may be towing the Liberal Party line, the guys are all on the other side. It's just how it is.
Yeah, actually, it brings an interesting point, because I was thinking about this the other day. I know down in South America, there's how do you pronounce it? Javier Milei. He's the new president.
I don't know how to pronounce that guy, but
Javier Milei. I think that's how it's pronounced. So he's staunch libertarian. And when you I've been watching a lot of clips from him. Down there, they call them liberals. They don't call themselves libertarians, because they don't mess around with the newspeak that we have in the English language in the Western world. where liberals are now the leftoid authoritarians, and conservatives are. There's a few different camps of conservatives, but you have like conservatives who are like I guess more conservative in like the social conservatives. You would call that people, you know, more religious leaning, that kind of thing. And then you have your libertarian camp, which are more like the liberals of days before, where they're very, you know, liberal minded when it comes to social stuff. Like, I don't care what you do with your personal life. I don't care what you do with your dingus. I don't care what you do with your drug use. Don't care. It's that's your responsibility, and you got to live with the consequences of it. But also being the same way when it comes to fiscal policy or, you know, taxation, things like that. You know, I don't want the government in my pockets, in my pocketbook. And I understand that the government does serve a purpose, like for guys like yourself in the military. You know, we got to pay for that. We're not, if somebody comes marching at our shores and we don't have people to save us from that, or at least to protect us, be the front lines in that whole endeavor, we got to pay for that, and there is a purpose for that. But like all this expenditure stuff that's going on, Department of Climate Change and all this stuff that's just ridiculous. It's become a muddy sort of thing politically, right?
Yeah, and that you know, to me it makes sense that they call that liberal, because you know, classically that's what liberalism is and was. Liberalism was sort of a laissez-faire, like non-interventionist, like that was both social and fiscal. Obviously, like you said, now we don't consider that to be liberal because of the way that the liberal parties have gone in North America, both south of the border and here. With, I don't know if you want to call it neoliberalism or whatever it is, but yeah, traditionally liberalism was like socially liberal, but also fiscally like non-interventionist, you know, free markets and free trade. And we've just, I guess, moved away from that. But it makes sense to me that they called them that down there.
I just call them what the South Americans call them, socialists. I mean, it's what they are at the end of the day. I mean, you know, they could beat around the bush and say, well, it's you know, democratic socialism or whatever. Call it what you want. Socialism. A polished turd. A polished turd. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, call it whatever you want. In my opinion, it's one of those things where, you know, if at the end of the day, there's two things that we're arguing against. The people on one camp believe in property rights, and the other people believe that property should be owned by the state, by the collective. And this is all property. And you know, you'll get your fair weather socialists that'll say, well, I don't believe that, you know, all the, you know, it's not like seize the means of production or whatever. It's like, but at the end of the day, that's where we're going to end up if we go down that route. How much?
I think that's a good point.
How much property should be the state's versus how much should be in public or in the hands of private individuals? And this is where it comes down to that. And I think if you start to creep down that path, you're gonna get to a point where the government wants it all, and they're gonna take it all. And we're really quickly going down that path in Canada, and it's terrifying to me.
Big time. Yeah, big time. Yeah, like you said, it all at the end of the day, it all boils down to property rights in one way or another. And yeah, we are losing that. And I think you know, I think all governments eventually tend in that direction. You know, because they have to justify their existence to the people. So it's like they have to be seen as doing something, and every single thing that the government does, no matter how small, is an infringement ultimately on property rights. They have to take something from you to do literally anything.
Well, and that gets into like what is a military? What's a police force? What is any of this stuff? It's the arm of the state, and it's essentially it's the enforcement for the rules that they put in place. And at the end of the day, the police, the military, people armed people at the behest of the state are doing what it is that is being implemented. The state is a monopoly of violence. That's really all it is. It's this agreement that we've all made that none of us are allowed to be violent with each other as a means of negotiation. But one party in this whole endeavor can be, and that's the government. And if military is there, if an outside force comes in and tries to break that rule, then we can use violence against them. And if people within civil society break those rules, well, we have police forces that will use violence on those people. And the idea is that. But then at what point is the state turning that apparatus upon us? And when are they using that violence on us? And my argument in this whole thing would be that in imposing a mandate for a medical intervention, is that violence?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. Being even here in Canada, somebody forcing you to take medication, at least up until recently, did constitute violence and assault. But seems like we've just sort of forgotten about that.
Yeah, we just throw that aside. Oh, well,
we're like, that only applies to medications we don't like. So,
or people that we don't like, or people that aren't following this grand experiment or global reset, or whatever they want to call it this week.
Yeah, we only protect the individual autonomy of people on our team. So screw you guys, kind of thing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of money to be made. I got some super chats here. One's from BA for $10. Says, encourage standing for each other. Bless you, good sirs. True leadership. Amazing words there. I had one more. Let me get to it here. Holy cow, I lose these really fast. Penny D with a $5 super chat. Thanks for staying true to your heart, Logan. That means so much to me. Wishing you the very best.
Wow, thank you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. It means a lot to me to have the things that I say and the things that I've done resonate with people.
Well, absolutely does, because, whether it's people in the audience that, suffered the consequences of not going along with this mandated thing, or people who caved in and had to do it because of this reason or that reason. A lot of people feel really betrayed in all of this, and it feels not just like a betrayal of trust, but an assault. It's an assault on people to be forced.
It hurts me to think about that too. Everybody's sort of in, I think it's only a small number of us, who are sort of like visibly, we're sort of like visibly the group of people that this happened to, but like we are the minority of the people that this happened to. This happened to everyone. Before they started mandating this stuff, what was the uptake rate in Canada? It was like 26-30% or something was the uptake rate of the vaccines prior to them starting like the passports and the mandates and this and that.
I actually didn't even know that number. Yeah, it was only like 30 something.
It's not a particularly high percent. I don't want to be quoted on the percent, but I don't even know if this information would still be there, but if you go back, to the very beginning of this, when the vaccines came out, initially it was 100% voluntary. There wasn't there wasn't vaccine passports to go to the movie. There wasn't whatever, and the uptake rate was not particularly high.
No.
So I really do think that the majority of Canadians, even if they don't realize it, they had their rights violated.
Yeah, absolutely. And when they say we got 80%, I think it was 80 something percent. That's ultimately the number that they went with. Canada's got an 80% whatever rate of vaccination. Now, what's really keen to know on that one is that was only for the first dose.
Oh,
there was a lot of people that took that first dose and bailed on the second one, so that didn't even make them eligible for the passports.
Yeah. My mom's one of those people. She only took one.
And then that's it. Yeah. So a lot of people did it just that way, and then that's it. No more, not going through it again. Whether it's, you know, people had side effects or, you know, just people learning about the fact that there were side effects or there could be side effects. Yeah. The government filled us with so much BS about this whole thing, like absolute just trash. It was total BS what we were being fed. We were being told it was 100% safe. There was no risk of anything. Nothing's 100% safe, but we were being told this anyway. If any doctor told you that, you could sue them for medical malpractice. If any company told you that, you could sue them for false advertising and endangering, gross negligence, all these other things. But the government does it, and oops.
Yeah. Oh, it's totally fine if they do it. Yeah. You mentioned that we were told, you know, this is 100% effective. I don't know if you recall that it was a video or a meme, and it was like showing the news videos, showing like the headlines, and they had like, you know, clown music playing, and it was like it started at 100% effective, and then it's like, oh, it's 95, and now it's like, oh, it's 75% effective, and then it's
just
like,
dwindling.
oh, no, it's like 71, it's 60 something, and then by the end it's like, you know, 2.
Who knows what the efficacy of it is anymore? Who believes what they put out there anymore? And that's really what it comes down to. It's really hard to believe what anybody's telling you at this point. In fact, I had a video that Vesper put up. Holy cow! I gotta get this one up because it actually showcases, and it's buried in my feed of like tons of shit that I have up here. But
it's a struggle.
It is the struggle that I live with, and it's just me with 1,000 Chrome tabs all the time.
Oh my god!
No joke,
you
my man.
Better than I would, man.
No
honestly.
joke, my man. I just bought some more RAM for my computer just so I can have more Chrome tabs.
Appease the Chrome gods with your RAM.
That's what I gotta do.
Yeah, you gotta feed the beast, man.
I do. I mean, I'm gonna be at 64 gigs of RAM at this point, just so I can.
Yeah, that RAM ain't gonna leak itself, brother.
That's right. That's right. Oh, here I am just struggling to find this clip that I had queued up. But holy cow, where was I with this? Oh, I've got it. Here we go. I got to make sure that I'm sharing my audio with you so you can hear it. Yeah, you are. This is a great clip because this kind of illustrates just how bad it got with the just BS that was going on with lying and how to lie with statistics is the name of the game here. This is really where it is. Before we get to this, Ravasades with a $5 super chat. Trudeau originally said that there would never be mandates or passports. Good luck finding clips of that. Those clips are out there. I'd have to go searching for it, and I'm not finding it with the million Chrome tabs that I have open right now.
Yeah, it's true. I remember that. It's in my...
Yeah, he did say we're not a country that mandates.
That's right. Yeah, we're not. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
not happening.
And then I guess I don't know. But his handlers or something pushed him. I don't know even what happened. Honestly.
Well, exactly. So here, listen to this. So listen to this clip, and this is Vesper on Twitter. He's a friend of mine, and he compiled this about some of the data that they were putting out there. That's just absolutely BS, not true, or this is how they lie. This is how they give you disinformation.
So I wanted to do this video because, to be quite honest, I could put things into funny supercuts. Some of you have been following me on X, but this was a little bit more serious for me. I dealt with this months ago, but recently some things have been coming more and more to light that are showing me that people are getting duped into what they are labeling as misinformation or disinformation. And I wanted to use a use case here, and the first person I want to address is this person that blocked me called Timothy Caulfield. Maybe you know him, maybe you don't know him. I don't care, but he blocked.
I'm gonna have to go bug him about putting the dramatic music on it.
Yeah, the music.
And I think I'm gonna set the stage with what was going on throughout the pandemic, and I want to show you what he had to say, and I want to get a little bit more into a deep dive with you on what exactly it is that I want to uncover that he blocked me for, and what this government has been doing for the past 3 years. So without further ado, let's push play. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Canadians recognize it too. This was a study that came out not that long ago, I'm going to say February. StatCan found that 96% of Canadians recognize that they're seeing misinformation kind of on the daily. And that's a remarkable number. And by the way, that same study found that over 90% of people are getting their information online, right?
So
before he continues on with this, have you heard that number? Because I heard it all over the place, that the government officials were saying 96% of people think that they're getting misinformation. This is the consensus of people, think that misinformation is super prevalent. Don't listen to online stuff, only listen to government sources.
No, I hadn't heard that number. I mean, obviously they never shut up about misinformation and disinformation, but I hadn't heard that 96% number before. No.
Okay, well, he gets into this. This is an interesting one, because this was a talking point from the government.
On the daily, 90% are getting their information online. Where do you get these informations from? Well, it's actually pretty easy, and I'm going to take you there. So these are the PDFs, and these are the studies. This one particularly is all from StatsCan. You can see it right there. The authors of this one are Karine Garneau and Clémence Zossu. Now, what did they do? Well, it's actually really simple. They went off of an old 2020 Canadian Perspective Survey Series questionnaire for COVID-19. And some of the stuff that you could see on the screen is, for example, what did you do to check the accuracy of the information? And you had to check box 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7, whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is this. StatsCan didn't actually do the research. Timothy isn't going off of the actual raw data. What he's doing is he's going off of what Karine and Clémence did, which was go back to this. But I want to show you the raw numbers because I'm a bit OCD, and some of you know me.
So far, I think you're following it. We're at this point where they have this guy is spewing this number. The government officials are using that number, but he's pulling it from somebody else who's not pulling it from the actual source. And now we're going to get to the actual source data. So
okay, this happens all the time. I notice the government will say something, and then the news will report it, and then the government will use the news report as like their source.
Similar thing, but it gets grosser. It gets even grosser in this one.
Making fun of people that are in power who claim to know what it is that's right or wrong. So I'm going to show you what it looks like before we get into the details. This is what StatsCan questionnaires come back looking like. I'll share all these in a Google Drive with you, by the way. You'll see them. They're titled.
Yeah, it looks like my Chrome tabs. It looks like a bunch of gobbledygook. And big shout out to Vesper, because he loves to dive into this stuff. It's so boring.
I couldn't do it, but God bless him, you know.
Right? But he'll dive into this stuff and he'll pull all this stuff out of it. But let's get into it here.
They're official. They're from the government. It even gives you guides.
Zip forward a little bit, but he gets to the actual answers that they're
more
giving.
Or less this. But what I really want you to pay attention to is the questionnaire about, since the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic, how often have you seen information related to COVID-19 on the internet? This is what Timothy's talking about, that you suspected was misleading. He said over 90%, and kind of on the daily, right?
Music's getting dramatic.
So get this, you look at this, and when you crunch these numbers down, based off of that questionnaire that I just showed you, that I will share with you, you end up with a basically 613 not knowing, okay? 171 never, rarely seeing. Remember, this is about seeing misleading information. And the other one is at least once a week. So we're not even at the daily yet. This is the daily portion right up here.
Okay, sum this up real quick. The questionnaire went out, and it was, how often do you see misleading or misinformation on the internet? or what you think might be misinformation on the internet. So the respondents said, you're given the scale on the scale of never to sometimes, maybe once or twice, all the time, that kind of thing. It's like a sliding scale of no to all the time. What he ended up doing is he took all of the answers that weren't never, and he put those all in one camp, calling, yes, I see misinformation online.
Okay, so you sometimes see something, and you just count that as like all the time then.
Yeah. So he summed it all up, and then he made this 95% stat. It's really, really not unsimilar to how they got these stats for... you've heard the 97% of scientists all by the
consensus thing. Yeah,
similar way that they got that number.
That's totally manufactured.
Was that thing. So, but where it gets really interesting is later he goes into, who is this guy? Why did he block me? Because he realizes that he got paid $380,000 from the government in order to get into this COVID misinformation statistics. So just taking other people's work, third party, and then publishing it as new works and a new number of 95%, he got $380,000. And it turns out, yep, he was a member of the Trudeau Foundation.
Oh God, they just couldn't. They couldn't. No efforts made whatsoever to pretend you're not full of shit,
Zero effort.
Like, and don't even clean up behind you. Like, just it's cool.
No,
nobody will question it.
It's like that no F's given, meme.
Yeah, they just do it right in your face.
And it's getting worse. Like to the point now where I don't know if you heard, but Trudeau's latest iteration for the investigation into Chinese interference in our elections.
Yes, that's right. He had the Governor General, under his recommendation, appoint him as the minister in charge of it. I was like, bruh, come on. It was a bruh moment. I was reading it, and like it was, you only had to read the headline because the headline even had that information in it, and I was like, you gotta be fucking shitting me, dude.
It's horrible. I can't believe that. So like literally he's in the point of like, I've investigated myself and I found no wrong-doing.
That's right.
Like that's the
He's
meme.
Become the meme.
He's become the meme. I got a couple of super chats here from Ravasadius I'm totally pronouncing that wrong, I know. $5 British Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli. There are three kinds of lies: damn lies, and statistics. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Robert McFallon for $5 says, thank you for bringing Vesper into my consciousness. He is an absolute legend. He absolutely is. He spends all the time doing all the boring stuff, so we don't always have to, but he comes up with some crazy info that he digs out of all this stuff. It's amazing the work that he does.
I never heard of this guy either.
Deb H 1960 with a $3.99 super sticker. Thank you so very much. Really appreciate that. You should definitely check out Vesper. He's gonna delete his account as soon as Trudeau's out of office. That's his thing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, he's like, I only made this account to get.
Well, I better check him out quick then, because by the looks of it, there might be a little sneaky election coming up. I was watching.
Right.
I was watching that earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you think about that? Do you think that'll actually happen? Because I don't know. I'm on the fence about it.
I mean, you know how it is historically. Like, tyrants don't give up power. So, and Trudeau is as narcissistic as it comes. So. I think if there's an election or if he steps down, it's going to be one of those things where it was not his call. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
somebody pushed him to it.
Well, I think he'll burn the Liberal Party before he'll allow them to oust him.
Oh yeah, he's one of those people that as the saying goes, like they'll burn the country down to rule over the ashes. Kind of. He's like one of those people.
Yeah, well, he's already burning it down. He's not.
Yeah,
he kind of skipped a step on that one. People were happy with him, and he started burning it down. I'm not saying that they're happy with him now. They were happy with him because largely, I don't know, pot.
His hair.
He's got
people just he's got
pretty hair.
Something stupid. Yeah, he's got socks. Apparently, that's important.
That is a thing for people. Like, that's not obviously not a thing for me. But I did understand the big mistake that Stephen Harper made back in the 2015 election, where he clung to this idea that pot needs to remain illegal. I don't get that sentiment. I think the consensus across Canada has been for the longest time, who cares? Pot's just pot. Yeah. Just don't do it at work.
Yeah. Nobody really cares anymore.
And then what does he do? Everyone wanted legal pot, and he's like, yeah, well, heroin and methamphetamines and stuff. Why don't we make those things legal too?
Yeah, let's just go everything. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I support like decriminalization and stuff, but I think that by doing that, you have to recognize that there's some degree of, I don't want to call it encouragement, but you sort of encourage that behavior. But then they took it even one step worse. They're like, yeah, not only are we going to decriminalize this stuff, we're going to give out free drugs and make people more addicted. And then we're going to give out drugs that the addicts don't really use. And then they're going to sell them to children and teenagers and party people to buy the street drugs anyway that they do use. So my thought, decriminalization is one thing, but it's a nightmare. Whatever they've done, it's a mess.
Right. So my thought, as like the libertarian, my internal libertarian, looks at this whole scenario and goes, yeah, okay, so I think that's a behavioral thing. You shouldn't police people's behavior. That's not really a thing that should be done. But so that comes with a caveat, though. You cannot have open drug policy where all these dangerous drugs people can have access to them and whatever, and it's willy-nilly, with a medical system that's sponsored by the state. And
that's right.
Because at the end of the day, you're gonna have people that are gonna take these drugs, and they're gonna externalize all the cost of what it costs to be a drug addict. You've got to take that risk of dying or damaging your body and then suffering the consequences of it and having to pay for the services. Meanwhile, in Canada, it's legal to do these things, but then we all pay the cost for it. And not only do we pay the cost, but in nominal amounts, but we only have so many doctors, and they're fleeing our country. And when you have these people taking up hospital beds and taking up the EMT services and all of this, those services are not going to people who didn't do drugs, and it just happened to be, cracked their head, fainted, real medical emergencies.
Yeah, so that brings up a good point. And, here in Canada, saying this kind of puts me up on the cross to be crucified. But I don't support state healthcare, and largely it is for that reason. I feel like state healthcare is a slippery slope, even with the best intentions. As soon as you put the state in charge of your health, you grant them the ability to limit what you do with yourself and what you do with your own body and self-determination in general. Where do we in Canada seem to move this line a lot, but where is the line where we say, I'm not willing to pay for that as a taxpayer for your health care, but I am willing to pay for this. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
And I just find that I just think people should pay for their own health care. And if you look at the budget for Canada, something like I think it's about 30% or something of the budget goes towards healthcare. So, if you've got to keep a third of your taxes, you could afford health insurance.
Yeah, actually, you could. You absolutely could. I mean, Americans, they have, I wouldn't say that their system is great either, because
it's a mess. It's a total mess.
I think it's a massive mess. I think the whole third-party payer system makes things really go off the deep end. And what I mean by that is when you have to pay an insurance company, and then the insurance company is the one. There's no transactional thing between you and your doctor, or you and your every type of medical where there is a transactional thing, the prices come down massively.
That's right.
And any industry where there's a third-party system, the prices go way up. You don't see the cost, but later on you'll see it in your premiums going up. You'll see it in the denial of service. You'll see it in all kinds of ways. And I mean, look at Canada. Our dental is great. Our dental is fantastic. It's really good in Canada. It's because it's out of pocket. It's
expensive, but
it's expensive. It's really good. Physiotherapy is really good in Canada. It's expensive, but it's really good. But largely, like I'm a big firm believer in physiotherapy, because I'd rather go to physiotherapy now than have to go to the free doctor later for back pain and all this other stuff, right? So
that's right. Yeah,
I'm a big believer in that. But yeah, I think across the board, like if we're gonna pay that much for medical service, why not have a better system entirely? And I think the
and our coverage sucks too. You don't even get eye care, dental, or drugs, and you pay like a third of your taxes goes to this, like a huge amount of money a year. If you make, I don't know what the average salary is in Canada. I think it averages out somewhere around $65,000 a year, but you're paying like $7,000 a year for your healthcare, essentially.
Yeah, and a lot of people are just not getting enough of it. And like we have catastrophic care is what we have in Canada. You don't.
That's right.
Most people don't have a doctor. COVID happened. They told us that there was going to be a shortage of hospital beds. They spent a lot of money on no hospital beds. They didn't get a new one, not one in the country over this whole thing. And our medical services is trash. We're seeing this more and more where people. I read a story where a man was waiting for a cancer treatment, and he ended up opting for MAID instead.
That's right. I saw that the other day.
Yeah. People are dying on wait lists to get service.
People are dying in the waiting room.
Yes. People here in British Columbia, they're not allowed to go to the Cambie Surgical Clinic, which is a private place. People from other provinces are allowed to, but in Canada, this is how messed up it is. Other people from other provinces are allowed to go to a private clinic in British Columbia, but not British Columbians. But now the British Columbia medical service plan system, they're sending people to the United States of America to spend money there on their medical service for cancer treatment at this point. It's insane.
I think I remember that started quite a while ago too. They started outsourcing certain things. I remember I actually used to live in BC. I was in Victoria for quite a while when I was still military.
The wokest town in Canada. Wow.
The what now?
The wokest town in Canada.
Oh God.
Victoria, BC.
Oh my God. Oh. Yeah. Let's elect a mayor that is, for whatever reason, obsessed with bicycles, and then she's just going to have the city pay for bicycles lanes from literally her house to the Parliament building. What are we doing? Like, I hated that place. I'll be honest with you.
Sorry to any of the viewers in Victoria.
I'm sorry to any of your viewers that are from Vancouver Island. It's like the world's most beautiful shithole.
It's really nice looking. It really is.
It's beautiful, and it's just full of retards.
I never go because you got to take the commie boat to get there.
Yeah, that's right. You got it's a prison basically. It's like Canada's Australia, except Australia's cool.
Well, the commie boat, I call it that because there's no other choice. The only ferry that goes there is government run, and you know how it is when it's government run. You get what you get.
It's like what, $100 for an hour ride. Like, it's basically like a prostitute on the water. Except you can put your car in it, which you can't with most prostitutes. But
no matter what, you're getting screwed.
Brutal.
Unreal. I got a couple of super chats to get here. We got Rasav. I'm never gonna pronounce it right. Ravas Adius with a $5 super chat. Congratulations to drugs for winning the war on drugs. We got UG Tai. I know that name. Where I refreshed on me 1 second. UG Tai. I know that name. Great coffee. Amazing gentleman with a super chat. Not sure if someone already mentioned this, but Joe Rogan shouted out Pierre Poilievre on the episode with Derek from More Pilates, More Dates. I did see that clip. It was going around on Twitter. Basically, he showed off that interview where he was eating the apple with that reporter. And had kind of a laugh about how awful that reporter was and how he likes that guy. He's like, I like that guy. I can't pronounce his name. Tony Ludi with the $5 super chat. Remember the computer projections when CV first started? I'd love to be able to speak more about the ER. I worked, but would be fired Monday. I work, but would be I'd like to talk more about the particular ER that they work at, but they would be fired if they mention that stuff on the internet. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if anybody saw it.
Yeah, protect if you Clyde's dyslexia again, all in love though. Yeah, I'm bad with the dyslexic stuff.
I'm sorry, I made a post joking about dyslexia earlier today. Hopefully you didn't see it. Not that you could read it anyway,
I wouldn't have been able to read it. Yeah, no, I suffer from dyslexia, and it's funny because I read the news on the internet, but that's the irony of the world these days. This is what you get.
Yeah.
But yeah, when something's not just really obvious on the screen, especially typos, just what am I reading? What? I can't.
Oh man, that's got to be such a pain. I can't imagine. Yeah, I made a joke about it earlier today. I just said, yeah, like dyslexia isn't real, you're just dumb. And then I said, I'm muting these notifications before you guys figure out how to read this.
Oh, I love it. That's hilarious.
I was hoping to just piss people off just because it's funny.
Just to
yeah, something to do. I was, you're on the toilet, you got nothing else to do.
That's fair. Oh, did you do that on Twitter?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, fair. I thought you meant in the comments here. Everybody knows.
Oh no, I don't. No,
everybody here knows that I'm the dyslexic mechanic.
No, I would never call you out directly. That would be too mean. I just did it as like a general joke on my account.
If you can't make fun of yourself, like what good are you? You know, like.
I know. My whole account's a joke, right? Because I called myself the Canadian gun gnome. Like I'm only like 5'2", right? So it's hilarious to make jokes about myself.
That's it. If you can't, if you can't have a sense of humor, you're gonna really like. I worked with a guy years ago. I did a stint at some auto shop in the Lower Mainland, and there was this one guy. He was really short. He was about 5 flat, and he was one of those hard ass dudes, right?
Oh yeah.
And he drove a Jeep, and I bug him about that because like the.
Oh yeah.
There's always.
I'd say that's the worst part. That's honestly the worst part about being short is not the actual being short part. It's that you're literally not allowed to like anything cool, or you're compensating.
Yeah.
God forbid you like a cool car. You're like, oh man, I really wish I could buy a cool car, but if I do, everyone's gonna talk about my pieces.
Yeah,
like they're never gonna leave me alone. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, it's like I'm just expected to never like anything cool.
But what's funny though is like a lot of short guys, they've got a sense of humor about it, right? And that's it.
Yeah.
But it's always like somewhere in the middle, or there's no in the middle. It's either you got a sense of humor about it, or you get really pissed off if anyone brings it up.
That's right. Yeah, you're either hilarious, or you're that guy from the movie Shrek who just like takes some tyrant kid.
So this guy I worked with, he did not have that. He was and he loved ribbing. Like that's all he wanted to do is rib other people. So he'd like I come in and he'd rib me on stuff. And there's plenty to rib me about. Whatever, I'll have a laugh. But then I'll rib right back, right? So I'm just like, I'm throwing the digs out there. Sorry, I was throwing them down there, and he just couldn't take it. Man, the guy he got mad and he wanted to fight me one day. It really came to that.
Sucks to suck, man.
Sucks to suck. It really is. Holy cow.
I always say you got to laugh at yourself because everybody else is laughing.
Yeah, sure. Robert McFallon with another $5 super chat. How much would you pay for a 5-speed 86 Toyota van with 120,000 kilometers? I don't know. What? Why are you asking this in the super chats? It's so random.
What kind of van? You talking like one of those Previa, or are you talking like a Toyota, like a High Ace or something? Like what kind of van are we talking here?
I don't know. I wouldn't want it. An 86 Toyota van.
Kind of vague. Is it like is it one of the cool like Japanese vans? Is it one of like, you know, the European ones? Is it one of the 4-wheel drive vans that you got overseas? Like,
so I got this philosophy about cars, like old classic cars. It's you want a project? Cool. That's awesome. That's your project. Get out of my shop with that damn thing. If I see some rickety old bucket riding into my parking lot where I work, like I'm telling the service riders, you give that to me, I'm getting sick. You know? I don't want that. Forget it. That can of worms.
Oh my God, yeah.
That can of worms. If you bring it in, you're asking every mechanic who wants it.
especially if the owner has worked on it themselves.
Yes, especially.
Yeah.
But you know,
because you never know what you're gonna find.
Something that old is always been worked on by somebody mediocre or amateur.
Oh yeah.
It's just
it's
the way it goes with those things.
I've touched it, so it's fun.
My favorite though is like you get these old ones and it has an electrical problem. Like, oh, can you just fix a thing? I don't know, the ignition's not doing its thing. And you get into it and you're like, rat's nest. What?
Yeah. Yeah, because some teenagers installed a stereo in it wrong.
Yeah. And then
every time you turn the wipers on, the brake lights come on with them and you're like, oh my God.
And then you look up the wiring diagram and it's from 1984 and the entire vehicle's wiring diagram fits on one page.
Yeah. And somehow they still get it wrong.
It's awful. It's
like my old tractor. It's got like 2 wires and it goes from the battery to the starter.
Those are the worst ones though. They're the worst. I mean, I can deal with like complicated cars now that have like really intricate systems, but the as long as nobody's messed with it, you know, the wiring diagrams, boom, it tells me where to go. It's got all the colors. I know what the plugs look like. I know everything.
Yeah. And the diagrams are actually nice,
unless they're German diagrams. But you know, we have the line diagrams. I don't know if you ever get into one, you'll hate them. But
yeah,
we
haven't done too much of that with cars, but with aircraft, that was my trade was avionics. So I was always working in the wires and yeah.
Oh, so you know how to read all that? Do you know line diagrams? Do you ever get those?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I'm quite familiar with wiring diagrams. Yeah.
Line diagrams.
Line diagrams.
Or sorry, track diagrams. That's what they're called.
Maybe I've just never heard of it referred to as that because we only really use one type.
Okay.
Aircraft,
so in the German world, they have. I thought they were called line diagrams. There might be track diagrams, but they're basically logic diagrams where they go this way and they just have lines that go into a thing. And then it has a number, and then you got to reference the number way down at the other side of the thing where the component is.
That sounds awful.
It really is. It's completely awful. Instead of just having a properly laid out wiring diagram.
German engineers are terrorists. There's no way around it.
They're just mad they lost the war.
Yeah, I don't know. They're mad they lost the war, so they're taking it out on technicians. I don't know. Germans are really good at everything except for winning world wars and like making things easy to work on. There's 2 things they suck at.
Yeah, well, they just want to reinvent the wheel always, every time. They're like, oh, lug nuts? You guys use the how about we put the bolts this way? So you got to fumble with the wheel
up the whole time. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, we're gonna do it.
You don't want to have like lugs you can hang the wheel on like every other car in the fucking world.
Oh, you know that timing chain? Yeah, we put it on the back of the motor. You got
it's in the back. Yeah,
you gotta
it's in the back. By the way, there's only a 1/4 of an inch around the entire engine, so like when you lift the engine out, you're definitely going to damage the inside of the bay.
Oh no, you just drop it at the bottom. It's easier that way, right?
Yeah, just take the whole car off of it. Yeah, you know how you like to take the engine out? We like to leave the engine and take the car out.
That's right. That's how it's done.
Although that does seem to work for diesel trucks these days. It's a lot easier to just pick the truck up than it is the engine.
Some days yeah. Oh, okay, you're talking about the Ford pickups. Yeah,
they just yank the body off. Some guys can do it so fast.
Yeah, if you've done enough of them, but when you don't do a lot of them, it's a big pain. And the worst is when you live in Canada and they put salt on the roads, And,
yeah, it's rusted. Yeah,
and the thing's kind of old, and then those body bolts don't want to let go. Those are always
yeah.
nice.
I live in the Maritimes. Trust me, I know all about rusted bolts.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun here in British Columbia. A lot of people think like, okay, well, it's nice out there. You probably don't use as much salt. We actually use more because of the freeze thaw conditions. So
yeah,
pretty much it's a guarantee that it's all rain, and then at night it's freezing rain, and then in the day in the morning it's all going to be ice. So it's salt everywhere all the time.
I guess it depends on where you are, because I know when I was on the island, they didn't salt, and the cars last forever over there, which is nice.
Oh, I'm on the way to Whistler from Vancouver, so it's
okay.
Yep. Yeah. That's salty area.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And they did us one more favor. The hippies, they didn't like salt on the roads because
it's urea now, isn't it? It's piss. They piss the roads up.
Well, they piss the roads up, but no, it's sodium chloride.
Okay.
Salt.
Yeah.
I know. They just call it another word, and environmentalists are like, "Oh, okay. You're not using salt anymore? Great. We changed the world, guys. One glued hand on a Rembrandt at a time. We're saving the world."
Yeah. Those hand gluing people are insane. Oh, and I know it sounds cruel and insane, but you'd only have to do this like one time. Just like sawzall the hand, like you do it one time, no one ever does that ever again. Like that's over. That's how you end that practice, like one time.
Sawzall the hand.
Just like, you just like flex the blade against the pavement so it goes under the hand, and you just zip that sucker right off the pavement. Like you'd have no palm left, but like you do that one time, I promise you, nobody ever glues their hand to the road again.
It's a good idea. I mean,
it's horrific, but sometimes you just do it one time and then you never deal with it again.
Well, there was that guy in Panama that shot 2 guys.
Oh, that guy! Yeah. The memes were so good.
The memes were good.
The memes were great. Did you see the one? It was like they put him on Sam Jackson's body, and they were like, "Say climate change one more time," and he's like that guy's face. Oh my God.
I mean, what do you think of that? So, like, this is the kind of thing that's been happening. I mean, it's not just in Canada or in South America. It's all over. A lot of it's happening in Europe. These idiots like gluing their hands to the ground, asphalt, or whatever it is they're doing. Stopping traffic, like just inconveniencing people out of like climate change. We're saving the planet one traffic jam at a time. But it's only a matter of time before people freak out and do something crazy. And here we go. Yeah. We got old guy,
Yeah.
comes walking out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously
with his 38 and takes 2 of them out.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I like to, I like to joke around. I do not advocate just blasting people who are blocking you. But I did hear an interesting argument that was, I guess it was kind of in favor of this, and it was like, basically, those people are holding up, X number of people. For X number of time, and they're doing this all over the world. And it was kind of like, there has to be some kind of discussion. I personally don't think there has to be, but this, there has to be some kind of discussion where how many hours of like human life are these people taking away versus how many hours of human life this guy took away when he just walked up and dusted them. And I was like, well, I mean, there might be an argument to be made there, but I don't think that's really where we want to go with this.
Well, obviously, those people, they don't care about human life because they're misanthropes. Like
that's right, yeah.
They don't like humans. They hate humanity. They're in a death cult that thinks that old Mother Gaia is like wants rid of humanity, except for the elites, of course, and except for them,
because they're cool.
And except for them, because they're cool with the elites, and they're gonna frolic in nature when this is all over, and we don't need energy anymore, and we're going to be back in the Garden of Eden, and
we don't need energy anymore. Yeah, that's a good one.
Right? This is the religious fervor of this group, right? They believe that somehow we're going to get to 500 million people, you know, when we have 8 billion, 500 million people are going to be off the planet, and then we don't need energy. We're going to be dancing with deers. We're not going to eat deers.
Yeah.
We're going to snack on the leaves with them too.
We're just going to switch over to photosynthesis because that's, you know, that's we have the capability to do that.
Right.
Yeah,
we're just going to be plants.
They're completely out to lunch. Totally out to lunch. Like, yeah, they just think we're going to frolic in this. And of course, the way to accomplish this is by taxing ourselves and giving the government more money.
Right. Now,
like the only way to solve this problem is to give the government more money.
This is what I find so absurd about it. I brought this up to my wife the one day, and she's Japanese, so she has a Japanese way of thinking about things, and it's hilarious sometimes how it just works. But I explained the whole thing with the carbon tax and how there's a big argument over it, and I said, yeah, so they're taxing people, they're taxing farmers to stop pollution, to you know, it's a carbon tax, and she's like, but do they think that's going to change the weather? Like she just straight up said, like, do they think making people broke is going to change the weather? Yes, that's their stated goal.
Yeah.
That's what they think.
That's how they're selling it. Yeah. They're like, yeah, give us in like this country that contributes only a tiny, tiny portion of the world's pollution. Give us more money and we'll fix the weather.
Yeah.
You know, like we could reduce Canada to 0 human beings, no carbon output whatsoever from human activity, and it would make no difference at all, even if we reduce our carbon output in Canada by 100%.
Well, this gets into actually something I saw earlier today. I'm going to pull this up because I found this fascinating. Right after I get to some of these super chats. Sorry if I missed your super chat. Well, I want to make sure I don't miss any of these. Sorry, guys. But this is Steve's Hyde for $10. Says new protocol to take the saws to the pavement. I think Just Stop Oil is a psyop to get people on board with banning all protests. Also, another one for Marty. Everybody's saying got to get Marty on the podcast. Of course, we'll get Marty on the podcast.
I'm not as cool as Marty. I'm sorry.
No, you are cool. But everyone's. I do a show with Marty every Thursday morning, but they never get to see him late at night, and they're like, we want to see Marty on some beers in the live chat, and they want to be able to chat live with Marty because Marty's pretty busy all the time, usually on his Twitter. It's hard to get in touch with him. But I wanted to get into this one because this one I thought was really interesting. Let me pop this up on the millions of Chrome tabs that I have open. I gotta pop this up, but there's an extra bit on this one. Let me pop that in there as well, because this all makes sense when you get right into it. So here's a 66 million year history of carbon dioxide offers little comfort for today, says the article. A massive new review of ancient atmospheric carbon dioxide levels and corresponding temperatures lays out a daunting picture where the Earth's climate may be headed. The study covers geological records spanning the past 66 million years, putting present-day concentrations into context with deep time. And basically it's a look out, here comes climate change, right? And this one's a really, really interesting one because you don't have to just look at this graph. I mean, yeah, you could look at the 66 million year graph, but why not look at the 600 million year graph that's available because we have this data. Now, if you look at the 66 million years, it doesn't, there's not a lot going on there. But when you get to the 600 million years, it's there's a lot of difference. And here's another map here. Here's temperature over on the Earth compared to CO2. And it's an interesting thing here. So in purple is temperature. This is the Earth's temperature. It's
oh, okay, I see it now. I'm a little bit. I have a little.
My bad.
Colorblind, so I was like, which one's which?
purple CO2. Sorry. Make sure I'm right here. No, yeah, purple CO2, and the blue is temperature. So the temperature goes up and it goes down, and there's ice ages. So you see all these dips. They're the big ice ages that the world went through. And then the high points are like when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. Okay. And that's when all the good stuff happened. Mind you, those temperatures were way up compared to today, which is us right at the end of, obviously we're at the end of it, right? So you remember that hockey stick graph?
Yeah, I know, the one where they just show you the last like 200 years and they're like, look, it's going up.
That's this little blip down here.
That's right. Yeah, it's like the very end of it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you go back to, like, let's say the Mesozoic period, during the last ice age, when CO2 went up and then Earth's temperatures dropped at that time, that kind of doesn't make sense to the whole narrative today. And then you look over this whole thing and there's no correlation. Like there's zero correlation.
No, there's no like direct link. Have you heard of on Twitter the ethical skeptic? Have you heard of this guy?
No.
He does a lot of great work on climate change, and he's actually got a really cool theory about climate change
and what is it?
How it relates to the Earth's core. So I don't want to speak about something that I don't really understand that much, but basically, if you go to this guy's Twitter page and you look through some of his stuff on climate change, basically he suggests that CO2 doesn't cause warming so much as warming causes CO2, and there's like a 700-year delay between the two, because warming the globe, I guess the ocean releases most of the CO2.
Right.
And warming the globe causes the ocean to release that CO2. So it actually that CO2 follows the warming rather than the warming follows the CO2.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also been monitoring ocean temperatures. And I guess the rate of change of the ocean temperatures, I was following this a little bit earlier this year, but kind of haven't been following it recently. But the rate of change of the ocean temperature was so drastic that it was physically impossible for it to be caused by like the climate outside of the ocean.
Right.
Basically, like
atmospheric CO2. It couldn't do it.
Like the Earth's air had not possibly warmed enough to warm the ocean like this. And I think it was like the amount of energy that would have been required to heat the ocean this much over the course of it was like a 3-week period. It was something like 6 billion Hiroshima bombs worth of energy to cause that. Anyway,
or a volcano.
His theory was that it's a phase shift in the like the phases of iron and molten materials in the Earth's core, and it's like an exothermic reaction, and this is what's warming the ocean. That was the
oh, that's interesting.
The gist of that was the gist of what he wrote a whole big paper on it. It was quite interesting.
But yeah, that I could understand that if the temperatures rise, then you'll get like permafrost that thaw, and then you'll get CO2 out of that. You'll get CO2 out of different things, but not to the level like this though. Like we're talking like this is the thing that gets me. It makes me laugh because they're saying that if we go above 450 parts per million, that's the end of life on Earth. But then I think, well, when did life start on Earth? It started in the Precambrian period, and we were at 6,000
There were no plants. There totally weren't plants back then. Yeah.
Yeah, there was 6,000 parts per million, and it's largely, and it's interesting you mentioned plants because plants came on the scene, and that's when CO2 started to drop. And every time there was a new evolution in plants, there was massive drops in CO2, and also coral, certain types of coral that calcify, they take CO2 out of the atmosphere and they embed it in their shells and whatnot, and you'll never get that back to the atmosphere. So no matter how hard we try, we'll never get back to the Precambrian period level of CO2 because it's just not even available. It can't be dissolved and put back into the atmosphere. But this is another bit that made me laugh today. This is John Kerry being lambasted by a senator in the U.S. Talking about exactly this.
Isn't it true you have a science degree from Yale? What's that?
Bachelor of Arts degree.
Is it a political science degree?
Yes, political science.
So how do you get a Bachelor of Arts in a science?
Well, it's liberal arts education and degree. It's a bachelor.
Okay, so it's not really science. So I think it's somewhat appropriate that somebody with a pseudoscience degree is here pushing pseudoscience in front of our committee today. Let's get back to the science of it.
But it's not science. You're not quoting science.
Well, you're the science expert. You got the political science degree. Look, let me ask you this. What's the consensus on parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere?
About 406 today.
Okay, 406. Are you aware?
350 being the level that scientists have said is danger.
Okay, are you aware?
Did you catch that? 350 scientists say is danger.
Right, scientists say that.
Yeah, okay. Political scientists.
They literally all say that, right? Yeah.
350 is dangerous. Wow. Are you aware that since mammals have walked the planet, the average has been over 1,000 parts per million?
Yeah, but we weren't walking the planet. Let me just share with you that we now know that definitively at no point during the past 800,000 years has atmospheric CO2 been as high as it is today.
The reason you chose 800,000 years ago is because for 200 million years before that, it was greater than it is today. And I'm going to submit for the record.
Yeah, but there weren't human beings. I mean, there was a different world, folks. We didn't have 7 billion people.
So how did it get to 2,000 parts per million if we humans weren't here?
Because there were all kinds of geologic events happening on Earth which spewed up.
Did geology stop when we got on the planet?
Mr. Chairman, this is just not a serious conversation.
Your testimony is not serious. I agree.
Your testimony is not serious.
Right?
It's crazy though, because you bring up like, okay, well, let's talk. You're denying the science. Well, let's look at the science. Let's have a look at it, because science is scrutiny. Science is looking at the data and then coming to an idea of what we're looking at, right?
I don't like the assertion that he uses. It's, this huge logical fallacy that like, well, we weren't there, as if that means that we couldn't have survived in those conditions. Do you know what I mean?
Like, so as soon as we became Homo sapiens, like Homo erectus was fine with that atmosphere. All the other different primates that came before us, they were fine. But as soon as we evolved to be Homo sapiens, it's like we're sensitive pansies. I know there's a lot of sensitive pansies out there today, but they'll do fine with higher CO2 concentration. In the atmosphere.
I mean, like you could take a human today, and transport them back in time 300 million years. You're not going to just like dump them in the earth and they're just going to die because the environment's so bad.
Well, what's the thing? What is the argument of what they're going to die of? That's the other question. What is it? Hypoxia?
Yeah.
Like people
are probably going to get eaten if that was the case. But like,
well, people work in greenhouses that have well in excess of 1,000 parts per million of CO2 pumped into them.
Yeah, and you might be worried about hypoxia, but you shouldn't, because the concentration of oxygen was also way higher, back then.
Oh, I didn't know it. Because I wasn't even aware of that.
Plant life.
Oh, I guess as soon as you're close to the plants, especially during the day, but plants actually give off CO2 at night. Did you know that?
Yeah, they do, the dark phase. Yeah, but the reason why dinosaurs and bugs and all that stuff back then was so massive was because of the oxygen concentration was higher, and that could support that type of growth.
So we'd be all Spartans. We'd all be massive.
We'd just be super jacked. I don't know.
We'd all go Super Saiyan.
But
Yeah, got a couple of super chats here. All for truth and freedom with a $6.99 super chat. Love your channel, Clyde. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Another one here from Northern Perspective. Oh, jumping in here. Big. I gave you guys a big shout out earlier in the stream. Saw your stream title, Clyde. Are you worried you're going to lose our bet, or maybe excited? I'd be happy to pay out that bet. So I made a bet with Northern Perspective that Trudeau was going to go all the way to 2015. He's not going to let go of power. No chance in hell. If there's an election beforehand, I lose that bet. But I would rather lose that bet.
I was gonna say it's one of very few bets that you want to lose.
Yeah, I'd be happy to lose that bet. Absolutely. Yeah. And there's no problem whatsoever on that one. I hope
you guys can both be right. You know, there can be an early election, and he also cannot give up power willingly. Like that, both of those things can be true.
Well, I think the caveat would be I lose if he loses power before before when a scheduled election is.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's if they kick him out, and I lose. But then there could also be I could do the super win. And they try to get rid of him, doesn't happen, and in 2025 he loses but holds power anyway, and declares a state of emergency and becomes the all-seeing, powerful chancellor of the Americas, with Sleepy Joe, Weekend at Bernie's style.
Just what we need.
just absolutely just what we need. But hey, we've been going for some time. Before we close out here, I just want to see like how is the lawsuit going? You're suing the government along with a big group of other people.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, I don't know nearly as much about the progress as the lawyer does, but things haven't changed drastically since the last time we spoke. We're still going through the process. The Crown gave their statement of defense, and Catherine's read that and responded to that. And she's trying to get all the paperwork in basically by Christmas. You know, it's kind of, I think she mentioned it was kind of her like, screw you Christmas present.
Oh, nice.
To them. You don't want to let the general have a Merry Christmas sort of thing. So
here's all my paperwork. Review it before the new year.
Yeah, I actually got blocked on Twitter by the general the other day. He didn't like my comments, so he blocked me.
Oh,
but anyway, yeah. So the lawsuit seems to be going well. I just recently, in my case, I just recently got my draft affidavit, so I have to go over that and I have to make a couple corrections and send it back. So. That's basically the stage that we're at.
And then, yeah, we just see from here where it goes. Now, the other lawsuit, do you know much about that one? Because there's 300 plus on that first tort.
Do you mean the original sort of 1.0 lawsuit?
Yeah, that's correct.
I do not. Okay. I don't want to comment on it because I don't know enough to say anything. So.
Fair enough. For those that are just tuning in and learning about these lawsuits, so there was an original tort lawsuit, and then because that one was already, the ball was rolling, anyone else that, because it didn't, I remember Kathleen explaining this to me. It's not like a class action lawsuit where anyone can just jump on after the fact. So if they want to have another lawsuit, or more people join in, it has to be another lawsuit. So this is why it's going along with the second lawsuit. But it's the same lawsuit for
it's all the same principle as far as I know. Yeah. It's what's known as a mass tort lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
So so it's not a class action where like there will be a decision and then you can get a payout later. Like they give you $20 or whatever because somebody overcharged you for electronics 10 years ago. That's not going to be like that. Yeah, each basically it's like one lawsuit where each of us are suing individually. That's my understanding of it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining on the show. I got one more super chat or any last minute ones. Robert McFallon with a $10 super chat says, been drinking a lot of rum and eggnog, and I just want to say I love you guys. So yeah,
nice.
Thanks a lot. Really appreciate that. Stick around after the show. We'll have a bit more chat, and then I'll be jumping in the Discord later for anybody who wants to join in and have a chat there. Usually do that on the Friday after the Friday live streams. That's a thing. Yeah, I want to thank you.
You had a Discord.
Yeah, I've got a Discord. Yeah, jump in.
Maybe I'll jump in there too. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Links in the bottom of every description of every video. So you just
perfect.
Just hit that link. Anyone else out there that uses Discord, jump in. It's an open room. Anybody can join. Just read the rules, and if you don't follow them, you're out. But that's the way it works. You just gotta.
I mean, I don't know if you heard, but I'm not very good at following rules.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining in. This is a big stream. This is pretty crazy. Got some really, really big numbers tonight. 1,600 people at one point when you joined in. That was crazy. So
hopefully I didn't scare them off.
No. We went on for a long time. But thank you so much for joining in, and have you again, of course, when we get more information about what's going on with the lawsuit.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. It's always good to have a chat.
Absolutely.
And I always loosen up near the end. You know, I'm basically like a robot at the beginning. So I'm so nervous, and then I get a little better.
That's the way it goes. But yeah, big thanks to everybody for joining in. What an amazing show. And as always, we'll see you guys on Monday morning. We'll get more videos out there about the things that are happening. I'm sure we're going to be have some stories to talk about what the parliamentarians did over the weekend. So look forward to that. And as always, everybody, keep on trucking.